Hey folks, I'm CPC Gamer, and welcome to the stream. I hope everyone's doing well. I hope everyone's having a pretty good New Year's Eve, because that's what it is. Yeah. It's been a weird one so far. I worked, and then I called Rixtress on my break, and she's over here acting like we didn't literally just finish playing Overwatch before I started doing this. So, there you go. Zarkrai, welcome on in. I hope you two are having a wonderful New Year's Eve. So yeah, just a quick little one today, where we're just gonna recap and wrap up what I have done this year. And kind of hoping this is gonna go well, because I've done this once before, and I don't remember how it went, except that I had to cut content out, because it got content ID'd. Let's see how we do this year, because Empirical Woodland is doing the Wheel of Nostalgia, but what I'm doing is a tier list. Oh, hell yeah. I love putting stuff in order. And, yeah, don't worry about it. Musics-wise, it's, what is it? It's, Glacier, that one that I always use for tier list, for, backing music. Don't worry. So, this is, I think, 45, 54, something like that. This is all the stuff that I did this year in terms of gaming, and a couple of other extra bits. So, sure, let's talk about it, and give a little recap of what we're doing. So, well, let's start at the start. We opened up in January. The first game I streamed this year was Cursed Mountain, which I think is surprisingly good for a budget Wii game. I know that phrase has a massive qualifier in there for a budget Wii game, but no, I had a lot of fun with it. I remember there was a surprising amount of variance in the scenery for a game that takes place in a single remote location. I thought the base camp, that was my favorite, because it was a small enclosed area where you crisscross a lot, and I love that in horror games. It gets a little gross by the end, in the bad way, kind of gross. But if you ignore that, and we all did, then this game's alright. So I'm going to put you in B. There we go. Now, how does that change the look of things? It doesn't. Amazing. Good job, stream. So what was next? WrestleQuest. In the last tier list I did, I put WrestleQuest in B tier, because I was having fun with it. And well, I guess we'll see where this one goes. That's gonna change, isn't it? Rin, welcome on in. Good to see you. Hope you had safe travels. Hope you're having a good New Year's. But yeah, WrestleQuest. It has some genuinely fantastic moments in it. I'm remembering where the Sting character rips off his disguise to reveal it was Sting all along. And that's a really good wrestling joke, because that keeps happening. That's brilliant. But for the most part, the game is really bloated and kind of bad. Lots of padding and lots of fat that could have been trimmed, and it crashes a lot. A lot. And I said it was a mile wide and an inch deep at the time, and I stand by that, and D tier. D for down there. Down you go. Ignore that those games are going off the bottom of the screen. It's fine. You don't need to look at those. We also don't need to look at hype. As with WrestleQuest, this one was in B tier last year, and this time I'm also going to drop it down. The final boss fight was completely unwinnable by the game's own design, and that is nonsense. I joked, oh yeah, it's gonna take me 3 hours to do the final dungeon, beat the final boss. Couldn't even do it. And that's not through being bad at the game, it just stripped out all of the healing items and made the boss impossible to hit. Oh well. But with that said, I enjoyed the bits of the game that I enjoyed, and I enjoy the silly premise, so I'm actually going to put you in C, but like, over here, eventually, like, bottom end C. You two are like, you can see each other from where you stood, you know? Gal Guardians is the next one. And I really, really enjoyed the first half of this one, when it was like a classic level-by-level Castlevania game. But then you beat the final boss, and then it sends you back to the start, and you have to play through the entire game again, except this time you have to perv on a bunch of girls. And I like that a whole lot less. I still say the game should have been half the length and make it a bit cheaper, but you know what? I'm still going to put you in B because I liked the gameplay itself and the traversal mechanics. Just less so the girly side of things, you know? Donkey Kong 94 is the next one, and I adore this game so much. Like, it's clever and creative, and it does one of my absolute favorite things, where it pulls a bait and switch, but like, it does it really, really well. Because it presents itself as a Game Boy remake of Donkey Kong. 4 stages. But actually, it's this 100-level long puzzle platformer behemoth? That thing. And I'm gonna put you in S tier because I have so many good memories of playing this game. And I feel like I undersold it when I played it because I knew the answer to most of the puzzles. And I was just kind of going through the motions, but at the same time, this game is absolutely fantastic, and it deserves to be an S tier, if you ask me. What's next? Panorama. I jumped on this one as soon as I saw it, because it's Dorfromantik with bells and whistles, and I love Dorfromantik, and bells, and whistles. I also like a lot of the quality of life stuff that this game does. So for example, tiles can grow and change depending on what they do and where you place them. There are puzzle piece shaped tiles rather than everything being hexagonal. But weirdly, I like this one less than Dorfromantik because it has an end point. Like, the idea of Panorama is you have to construct 25 features or monuments, and when you do that, Irashaimase, everybody! Welcome on in, Empirical Woodland. Empirical Woodland is my friend, and he was doing his own end-of-year wrap-up just now. He did his in a wheel. I've just thrown all of my schedule art down there. And, we're going through it, like, day by day, my goodness. Game by game that I streamed this year, so thank you very much. I was watching along. I think the wheel was a very good idea. And, yeah, thank you for coming along. Hope you guys enjoy joining me pick through my games that I played this year. I was just now talking about Panorama and how it's like an enhanced version of Dorfromantik, but I like it slightly less because this one has an end point. You build all your stuff, and then after that, you can keep playing if you want, but there's no point. It is nice to have a definitive end, but creative toys like this one work better with achievements or long-form goals rather than a hard cutoff. So I'm going to put you in B. Yeah, put you in B, because I enjoyed you while I had it. You just had a really harsh drop-off. We now enter February. And the first one I played in February was Space Papers, which doesn't actually have a portrait-style picture on Google image search. So, like, please enjoy this low-effort facsimile. And I'm pretty sure please enjoy this low-effort facsimile is what the game's store page says. Oh, this game gave me nothing to work with. But, like, thinking about it, a lot of the criticisms that I have about this game can be countered and dismissed with, yeah, whatever, it's a kid's game on mobile. So I can go, this game is bland and uninspired. Yeah, whatever, it's a kid's game on mobile. Everyone communicates in outdated and incorrect means. Whatever, it's a kid's game on mobile. I don't know. It fundamentally didn't understand what made Papers, Please a good game. And as a result, this is not a good game. And it's not, like, offensively bad or anything, but I sure played it for 15 minutes and then threw it away, so I'm gonna throw you down there. There you go. Mini Motorways was the next one, and it's fine. So, Rick's just... Space Papers is... Papers, Please, except you work at a spaceport, and you have to x-ray people and their luggage, and you have to check their passports and all this and that. But people show up and they're like, hello, do you know the way? Here is my passport. Wubba-lubba-dub-dub. And then they leave, and I'm just here going... And it's not very good. If I didn't have it in my tier list, I wouldn't remember it either. So Mini Motorways is fine. It could do a better job of tutorializing things, and some of the RNG is absolutely terrible. Like, oh, we're gonna put a destination in a position you physically cannot drive to, and oh, what's that? Traffic, game over, I guess. Also, maybe it's just me, I cannot tell any one location from any other. Like, oh, this level is Tokyo. If you say so, Mini Motorways, because it looks like black graph paper, same as every other level. Oh, also, I got this one bug where I couldn't actually play it. I completed the last level, and then the game returned to the title screen, and it was just a completely inert title screen. I couldn't click or tap anything, so it's just a very pretty title screen. You're fine. Hi, C. Oh, look at everything still in frame. Everything's still in frame. A Short Hike was the next one, which makes a couple of really, really bizarre design choices, I think. Like, by default, it looks... Oh, hit my desk. Don't mind me. By default, it looks like it's running on the DS, and everything has these low poly jaggedy edges, but when you turn that off, the game looks really, really good. And I remember that every single character in this game has the cadence. Hey girls, did you know, that your boobs, go in your top? And I wish to visit literal physical harm on people who use this template, and this game's just doing it unironically. So where does that put you, A Short Hike? I don't know. I mean, I'll tell you where it's gonna go, because it's my tier list. But actually, the game was pretty cute. And I really enjoyed that it is just directionless meandering. As long as you are going up the hill, you're doing it right. With the caveat that I had to make the game look nice, and I genuinely enjoyed the ending. The guy's like, good night, smash cut back to the title screen. That was great. B. Alright, next up is Japan, where I absolutely gorgeous graphics, stellar world building. Absolutely recommend Japan to everyone. S tier for you. Hell yeah. For a bit more context, this was my dad's retirement present. He said that he had always wanted to go to Japan, but he didn't know anyone who would want to go with him. And then he turned to my mum and he's like, do you reckon Cass would want to go to Japan? And Mum looked him in the eye and went, what a stupid question. Of course he will. So I planned and ran this trip for the two of us. And yeah, I had an absolute blast going. It's a wonderful place. 10 out of 10. We'll go again. Returning home from Japan, in March, we played Silent Hill Homecoming, which is a bad game. It just is. Like, thematically, mechanically, conceptually, it's bad. And yet, I don't actually mind it. Like, it's like Manos the Hands of Fate, right? That is a bad movie. Any metric you wish to use. Terrible movie. But I can't be mad at you, Manos the Hands of Fate. You're an idiot, and you don't know any better. And that is what Homecoming is. It's terrible. But at least I have fun analyzing it and playing with the game mechanics. Unironically, I am placing you in high C. Come on, there you go. And I would actually place you higher if the back third wasn't just awful. JJB, welcome on in. Welcome back. Just doing a little tier list to wrap up the year. And this is all the stuff that I played this year. So, you know, if you want to see what I've been up to, here it is. So next up was Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, which, it's one of those Kickstarter things that's like, definitely not Jet Set Radio, just like how Bloodstained definitely isn't Symphony of the Night. Wink. And I love those games, like, especially when they add quality of life to the product. And Bomb Rush Cyberfunk does that to an extent, but there is something missing and I'm not sure what. Like, the controls are a little weird, and the tagging is a little weird, and there's no, you know, standout music on the soundtrack. You can absolutely tell that Hideki Naganuma was involved with the soundtrack. What is it, Funky Fresh Beats? Clearly that's one of his. But even then, there's nothing that compares to, you know, the concept of love. But judging this game on its own merits, without comparing it to the game it's trying to be, it's pretty good. B. Now, when I first played Pokemon Ruby, it put me off the series as a whole, because a lot of this plays like a retread of Red and Blue. And do you know what? I'm glad you guys are finding out some new games and my opinions on these things. I looked through my back catalog for the year because I did like a family quiz thing based on my streams. And I'm like, man, I've streamed some Rickstress, this is all just... I'm doing this as I go. I have a general feel for each game at the end of it, and then I'm like, yeah, you know what? Donkey Kong 94, I love that game to pieces. That's clearly going up there. Unironically, Silent Hill Homecoming, I like it because it's good for dissecting. But, we'll see how it goes. And on that, taking Pokemon Ruby on its own merits, it's a lot better than I thought it was. And it's basically always going to be good because it's a mainline Pokemon game. But it's still a step above what I remember it being. And a lot of the fun came from some of the limits that I imposed, like limited catches, and I wanted to keep Spinder on my team, because Spinder's great, and it spins. But yeah, this game was fun, and I was really glad that I came back to it. And I'm also glad that I got to show off link cable trading on stream, which is why I like to do this stuff with the original hardware. I can just Frankenstein a bunch of cables together on the floor and be like, yeah, look at this. This is what I can do. So, I broke it! You're gonna go over there. Stay there. Dang old scroll wheel. You did stay on my team. I thought ahead when I caught that Swablu. I'm like, yeah, you know what? This'll be fine. What was next? Terra Nil was next. I like the idea behind Terra Nil. It reminded me of a more morally good version of Sim Isle, of all things, where the game gives you this blasted wasteland and you have to clean up the pollution, introduce plant life, and just make it a vibrant planet again. And Sim Isle is a very good example for me to give, actually, because much like that game, I played Terra Nil, and I went, oh, this game looks awesome! I wish I had the first clue what I was doing. But I don't. And it's kind of clunky and not very well tutorialized. That's fine. Over here. C. There you go. Why did I play Dizzy the Ultimate Cartoon Adventure? Was that an Easter thing? I may have played that for Easter. I don't remember. Dizzy, the first one, is... Ardent Slacker, don't. I started making content in 2009. I could do that. This is my second tier list, but I could just rank everything. I'd be happy to categorize it into a list. Also, since you're here, do you remember why I played Dizzy? Because I sure don't. It's pretty good, though. It's one of my very first video games, in fact, and a pretty solid one for the time. It does fall into some of the traps as some of the older games that I have played. So, I mean, Star Tropics comes to mind, where by design it is unforgiving and it'll kill you. Oh, you didn't know that that thing would kill you? Well, you should have done, player, you silly sausage. Back to the start you go. But it's fine. And I liked the music, and I liked the silly gameplay, and it was nice to finally finish it, having first played it when I was 4. So you can go in B. Rick's just Bullseye has now come up twice in as many days. There you go. Looking at it in Perka Woodland, it was probably Easter. Or was it? Because I'm pretty sure Easter is in April, and that's the next month, where we began with unpacking. So... you got me. Anyways, unpacking. I think unpacking is one of the most clever games that I have ever played. but like, so not in terms of gameplay, because you put the round peg in the square hole, and that's just whatever. But the way that Unpacking is able to tell a story without words, and just by looking at stuff coming out of boxes, you get an idea who your character is, and what she's about, and how she is learning and growing and aging, and it's really good. It is pretty much one and done, unless you're hunting the achievements, but, you know, otherwise it's a really sweet and quick little thing. I think I'm going to put you in A. Unless that is an illegal item placement, which, honestly, entirely possible for Unpacking. The box art is cut off, but I definitely played Final Fantasy X-2 next, which I knew basically nothing about this game coming into it. Just that it has a reputation among the fans. Essentially, Final Fantasy X is the beach episode, X-2 is the hot springs episode, and yes, this is a very pink game. I like that it doesn't take itself at all seriously, and nothing I have said detracts from the fact that this is a really good game. Story-wise, it plays a little bit like fan fiction, or like it's a really extensive, really good mod of Final Fantasy X, but even then, it does a lot of stuff that I enjoy. So you get to visit maps from the previous entry in the games, in this case Final Fantasy X, and they do, where is the hero now after the adventure? I love both of those things, and this game is framed by those things, so there you go, right? There are things that take away from it, and that made my experience a little less enjoyable. But a lot of that is par for the course with streaming an RPG. So, for example, I went into the optional super boss completely underprepared to fight it. Or the coin game. I'm not immediately good at it, so I'm falling out with you, game. Ignore those, because that's just me. And this game's great, and it's gonna go in S tier. There you go. Next up is May, where we played Walking Dead Survival Instinct, which has a lot of good ideas, that it doesn't do anything with them. For example, the tutorial stage is framed like a cold open of the TV show, and that's great. But this framing device gets dropped immediately. And I like that the game lets you explore randomly selected maps to scavenge up supplies and stuff like that. But there are 3 maps in the pool, and that's kind of lousy. Survival Instinct was kind of slated when it came out. Nobody liked it. And I don't think this game deserved that. And I'm one of, like, 2 people I know of who will stand in defense of this game, because it's fine. And it's going to go into C tier, over there, because it's only fine, and it doesn't really understand the setting of The Walking Dead, but I liked it, and it's buggy and weird, and better than people thought it was, so there you go. Next up, we played Link's Crossbow Training, which is the rare first-party Nintendo budget title. It's a very popcorny game, from what I remember. I mean, it is a popcorny game. I completed it in one go. That shows you how short it is. And that is absolutely fine. You know, it can be a short game as long as it's fun, and this one is a fun game. I think it does all that it can do with the format, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. Oh, but it does have a ridiculous learning curve. I completed everything on my first try, but I didn't get, I think, any of the special medals or Triforce pieces. Maybe one or two. It's like, learn the levels, get good at them, do it again, and come back for later. And yeah, you know what? I'm gonna put you in B, because like you're very obviously hastily stitched together from other things, but I still like you. Same sort of deal with 10-2. Actually, there's a lot of trust me. Lulu is about to have this baby. She looks like we just brought the old model back in from the previous game, but no. No, it's fine. Castlevania Bloodlines, or, as I prefer to call it, Castlevania! The Next Generation. That's what it was called in England. A lot of the enjoyment for this one. Oh, I've been waiting to do that all year. I like this because it brought me back to being a teenager. I would come home from school on a Friday, ignore my responsibilities, and practice being good at this game. And I think I was good at this game. Kinda. And it's pretty limited. Because like, there's literally nothing in the way of secrets. And I showed off the entire game. You play level 1 through 6, and there it is. So, limited, but still a really, really good game. So I'm going to put you in A tier. There you go. Alright, Tacoma 2 is the next one. I looked this one up. Last year, I put Tacoma in C tier, which I stand by. And then there's this one, the sequel, which is better in basically every aspect. And it does fall into a lot of the same traps as the first one, but it is an improvement. I like that it is a lot less linear than the Tacoma Part 1. Like, not quite open world, because you're still on a flat plane for the whole thing, but it's really interesting to be able to explore a variety of locations in whatever order you want. That's pretty good. It's got some problems, and a lot of them are hangovers from the first game too. Like, the enemies can spawn on top of you, which is kind of cheap. But this is better than the first one. So that gets you upgraded from C to B. B. There you go. I like this little join here, where it looks like Dizzy and Link's crossbow training are kind of bleeding into each other because of the white edges. Alright, next up is June, which is when we played Jade Empire. And a Disappearing Act told me that this game is kind of hilariously black and white when it comes to the morality system. As is the case with BioWare games, and video games in general. But with that said, I like that the solutions were not black and white. When you were given a puzzle, here are 2 solutions, unless, right? It's like at one point fairly early on, there's a woman who, she has 2 prospective husbands vying for her hand in marriage, and she asks you to choose which of these men is better for her. And the answer is neither, because this guy just arrived in town. And there's so many puzzles in the game that run like that. And yeah, overall, I really, really like this one. And I'm going to put you in A. There's a bunch of stuff that I don't understand, which is honestly my fault for missing certain NPCs, but I really, really enjoyed it. So there you go. Next up was Sunshine Manor, which I remember very little about, just that it struggled at maintaining consistent tone. Yeah, this was the one. I said you can be Splatterhouse or you can be Zombies Ate My Neighbors, but you cannot be both, game. And I also feel like there was a lot of missed potential in this one. So, like, there's a bunch of outfits and powers, which were only used to get other outfits and powers. And you couldn't keep them during the main game. And when the game starts, your powers are slow and weak, which is a great starting point. But there was no upgrades, so that you just were slow and weak. But, I don't know. It's fine. It's inoffensive. It's going there next to hype. C. That's what that is. In July, we played Wario Land 3, which was genuinely a lot of fun. I described it when I was playing Anton Blast recently. This one has very popcorny level design. There's 25 levels, 4 exits each, and a bunch of bosses. And it takes, 10 to 20 minutes per level. But then everything that you find, every exit you find, incrementally changes the game in some way. And that's absolutely fantastic. And you can still get every exit no matter how much the game changes? Are you kidding me? That's amazing! I like that. I remember getting incredibly annoyed at the bosses, but that is a staple of the Wario Land games, even all the way back to the first one. The level design is really tight and fantastic. By golly, those bosses. No. I'm gonna put you up here in B. Because the good stuff that you did eclipsed the bad stuff that you did. So, yeah. Is that the right way around? Yeah, the good stuff eclipsed the bad. I could see the good stuff and not the bad one. And then I don't look at the game because I go blind. Anyway, then I played Silent Hill 2. Was there any doubt that that's where I was going to put Silent Hill 2? This game, without exaggeration, is one of the best games ever made. And it made my day. Genuinely, it made my day to get on stream and strip it down to the nuts and bolts and show you specifically why I like this game as much as I do. And it's... as a game, it is heartbreaking and terrifying and emotionally draining. And weirdly, it's kind of perfect because of it. I don't know, I feel like I don't need to yell about Silent Hill 2 anymore. That's for literally every other stream that I do. So there you go. You live up there. Yeah, Empirical, you like this one? This is the Japanese art. This is Link's Awakening on the Game Boy. And I am in two minds about this one. Because I like a lot of what it does with the setting and the movement abilities, but I dislike very much basically everything else. And I get it. That's how Game Boy games are. They're challenging, so you keep playing them, and you don't just play it to the end. But there was genuine frustration when I played this, to the point that I had to cut the game early. Like, I ended the stream an hour early and apologized about it in my Discord. And that's not fun. I'm gonna put you in B tier. B tier? Because it's a very clever game. And I'm glad that I played it, but let's just not. anymore. Yeah? Yeah. In August, we played Fatum Betula. And Lady Mappy summed this one up nicely. It's one of those games where you see it on... Like, Oddhead is going to talk about this game in a 3 a.m. spooky challenge compilation where they try to overhype how scary it is. And I don't really have much to say about it. You know, it's a neat little puzzle. It's very reminiscent of the Dream Emulator, but that's about it. Although, I did like the ending where everything ceases to be, along with the game itself, once you, the player and audience, finally forget about it. That's pretty good and fatalistic. Very, very good. Very scary. Very, very C. There you go. No, I'm gonna put you there. Yeah? Yeah. And then on the same day I played Paratopic. Same devs. It was a nice little 2-pack. This one has some really good writing and theming, but I can't really rate it very highly because there's very little meat in the mattresses. And I only really understood the multiple narrator thing because it was explained to me by someone else before I began playing it on my own. Like, it has some absolutely standout moments, for sure. The intro, just... You're in a diner. What do you do? Boot in the door. Do you open fire? Don't know. Title card. Go do something else. That kind of thing is great. But the rest of the game just wavered a bit, and I don't know about that, so I'm going to put you over there and see. I don't remember why I played Melee, but apparently the next game I played was Melee, and I remember it being really weird when I'm used to the breakneck speed of Smash Ultimate. Oh, I think that's right. I played Melee because I was Bob, and I did Adventure Mode with Bob. Because Melee is a fun game. And also I got to show off Pokefloats, which is the best stage, never to appear in anything ever again. So I am going to put you up here in S tier, because the other subsequent Smash games are better. Not you, for 3DS. Not now. But it was still great to play Melee, and it stands up on its own, because Melee is great. Next up was Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. Kinda. So I didn't actually play the Amiibo Festival part of this game, because the board game is really dry, and really boring. And when you've played it once, you have essentially seen all of the content. The bit that I played was Desert Island Escape, which is this weirdly elaborate unlockable minigame, which honestly should have been the main focus of this game, and a product all of its own. I will continue pitching to Nintendo that they need to release Desert Island Escape on its own, because I'll buy it. I'll buy it! But they won't. They haven't even touched Amiibo Festival since it launched. It's still on the 1.0 patch. Like, alright. I'm gonna put you up in A, with the caveat that I'm referring to the Desert Island Escape portion and not the board game portion, because, oh boy. Oh, it's dry. I'm the opposite of dry. Thanks, Dave the Diver. You're the next thing that I played. And for the most part, I really, really enjoyed Dave the Diver. It it has a very silly initial premise, and it unfolds into something wild and expansive, and I liked playing basically every part of it. Except for the bloat. And there is a lot of bloat. And Jaded New nailed it when they said that it's like a particular kind of PS2 game where they just put gameplay inside the gameplay, because that way there's additional gameplay in the gameplay. But I don't need an endless runner, or a launcher, or a rhythm game, or Balatro. I came here for fishing. The random dream sequence music minigame was hilarious. I just don't know why it was in Dave the Diver. I am also wondering how exactly it matches the Joy-Cons. Can I use them as glow sticks and wave them around and just go on a mad rave with those? It might be worth checking out. I don't know. I wish I'd stop catching that button. Anyways, Dave the Diver is going to go up here in A tier. There you go. I liked it. Oh, look at that. You can see... Oh, would you like to upload images to your tier list? Not right now, tier list maker. I'm over here. Doing a bit of that. Man, I can't frame this properly. You just... There. That's what it's gonna look like. You'll just have to see the bottom of the tier list maker. It's fine. Tell you what else was fine. Saga of the Moon Priestess. Which, again, qualifiers. I liked this game for what it was. Like, there were 2 programmers, I think? So, you know, putting together a functional Zelda game with 2 people, that's a good feat. I say functional. I skipped a big chunk of the final dungeon because it just gave me the final boss key when I loaded a save. I liked some of the jokes as well. I remember this one had the joke, the ducks don't swim. They just have really, really long legs. And that was kind of funny. So I'm going to put you... I'm going to put you over here. Low B, top end C. Round about there? Yeah, sounds good. Next up was Logiot Grimoire, which is Picross. I love Picross. And then this one has the added mechanic where you combine completed puzzles to make more and more as you go. And some of them make sense. Fire plus dirt equals clay. Some of them are very, very silly. Mountain plus bucket equals snowman. Sure. But like, it's Picross. And Picross is great. And I blame Empirical Woodland for teaching me how to do it. Because now I'm obsessed. A. There you go. Mika and the Witch's Mountain is next, and it is... This game is genuinely one of the kindest and sweetest games that I have ever played. It is the right length and the right difficulty curve for what it is. It's got enough content and add-on stuff to make it worth playing beyond just doing the story. And the devs are super chill, and the devs are still releasing content for it. Get hyped for fishing. Rich just already has it. It's not on the Switch yet. It's coming. It is also how I met my girlfriend. So, literally anything gets a big bonus when I am able to go. It's also how I met my girlfriend. So, not because of that. Partly because of that. Not because of that. I'm gonna put you up here in S tier because, yeah, man. There you go. It's rough around the edges, but it adds to the charm, I think. We tease small indie company. That's why the game is like this. I legitimately, Mika and the Witch's Mountain, small indie team. That's why the game is like this, and it's a good game. Highly recommend it. Did I mention that we crossed over into August at some point? I forget if I did. Anyway, we're right at the end of August with thank goodness there's here, treacle. Which it has a very strong start, and I really enjoyed the start of the game, and it has some genuinely good sight gags. The extended argument, don't put your rubbish in my bin, that's great. And I will bet I didn't see him stream it. I will bet actual money right now that Josh got to that section and went, yep, I've had that argument, just like I did. But then, it's weird. And there's a lot of content that, to me, it's not only not funny, it's unfunny to the point that it is almost physically painful. Like, there was a glory hole with a sausage in it. With a sausage. You're not laughing, chat. Why aren't you laughing? You don't get it. Don't worry. I'm going to do that joke 5 times to make sure you get that joke. That's my impression of the game. I don't know. You're making me lose control of my scroll wheel. Call attention to it. That makes it fine. See? My notes say that I started Breath of Fire 3 in September. Did I? Because I finished it in November. I finished it on Thanksgiving Day. Wow. Alright. That's fine. I liked it. And it did a lot of cool stuff despite being kind of weird and all over the place. I reached the final dungeon not knowing the name of the antagonist, or who they were, or why they were there. They just were there. And I think that it's a huge missed opportunity to not really do anything with that game, or the storyline. Especially since there's a lot of elements in there that I enjoy. Here's all this weird future tech. Where did it come from? Pfft, I don't know, you just figure out what to do with it as best we can. I like that. And I think I like this one. It does also suffer from me playing Breath of Fire 4, and that being genuinely one of my favorite RPGs of all time. But as we have done with certain other games, we must take it on its own merits. And place you there. Yeah, you go in A. A, B. That's where you live. I'm really sorry about this one, Neve. I hated Tunic. Like, some elements were good. Like the Golden Door puzzles there's one bit that the door was inverted, so the code must also be inverted. Hold the manual upside down. I felt pretty good about figuring that one out. But the actual meat and potatoes of this game is invisible one-tile pathways obscured by terrain and destructible scenery, which is known in the industry as crap game design. And I know that there's this really clever puzzle where you have to... There's a hidden clue on every single page of the manual. And you have to read the entire manual and find it and put this clue together. And that's how you get the best ending. And that's super cool. But if the overwhelming majority of a game is annoying and badly designed, then that's just what that game is. So you are going to go in D, and you get to think about what you've done. And you, chat, get to think about how I just spent longer explaining my disdain for Tunic than Tunic spent explaining literally anything. You did get to see Impatient Cast, though. I remember Reese liked that one. He's trying to hurry the bad ending along so I could go and do my dailies or something. I don't know. Scooby-Doo! And the Night of Some Number of Frights. I keep forgetting what it is. It's 100. Thank you, Notes. Wow. I'm kind of in two minds about this one as well. Because the good stuff is really, really good. The dev team obviously has a great deal of respect and love for the show, because it looks and feels like the show. The intro sequence recreates Scooby-Doo Where Are You?, the title sequence, in engine. The credits is the door bit, and that's what I said a Scooby-Doo game needs to have. The theme tune and the door bit. Rick's you are spot on. It also sounds like the show. It has, probably not specifically theirs, but the Hanna-Barbera sound library, where it's that running sound, it's that clattering sound, it's that impact sound, you know? But then, in a running trend for games this year, the back third falls apart. Like, I didn't stream it, but I had to play through the entire game over again, scrounging up individual snacks one at a time to get through the final checkpoint. And when there are elements where the jumping and platforming feels really, really bad, that's not something you want to do. But I think that the good outweighs the bad, and even though Tim Curry absolutely phoned it in, it's Tim Curry. How can I say bad things about Tim Curry? See, I'm gonna put you there. There. I'm gonna put you there. Yeah. Yeah. Rick's just mentioned this one, but yeah, there was a week in October where South Africa happened. And I hear you now, Empirical Woodland. Hark at thee! 2 holidays in 1 year, is it? That's bourgeois, that is. And yeah, kinda. But hear me out. I paid for Japan last year, and I was saving up to go again. And then that money went towards a South Africa trip because something way more important came up. And I would never in a million years have ever believed that I would go to South Africa. But I am so glad that I did. And Rickstress and I both came out of this trip saying that some of our best days were part of this trip. And, like, I won't get into it because I've talked about it on stream already and off stream already. But this right here, this is another top tier adventure for me. Hell yeah. And from the high highs to the low lows, Morning Tide, which feels... I feel a little unfair putting this on the list, because this was 10 minutes long, and it plays like an introductory creepypasta. There was a fishing game, and then there was blood, and then everyone died. Yeah. I paid $150 for it, or something, and that I feel like that's the exact amount of gameplay I got for it as well. Down you go. Nah, I'm gonna put you over there. There you go. Yeah. Yeah? Yeah. In November, we played Worms Armageddon, which is, to my mind, everything that a sequel should be. They took the current best one ever, Worms 2, and built it up to be even better than that. Like, genuinely, this is the best looking and most fun Worms game, and it is a lot of fun to play it with the guys. We played it on stream, we've played it off stream. We will keep playing this one. It's great. As a port, it needs a little work, like there's some stuff missing that you'd expect to see. But it is so much fun to have access to the best Worms game again. And guess what? You're going up there. Why is Donkey Kong over there? You can go there. 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 Yeah. I'm going to shuffle this around in a bit. Don't you mind me. But first, Hollow Cocoon, which I really liked. And I kind of feel like I played this game before, particularly with Ikai, if you remember that one. But there is something about just trudging through gorgeous, dilapidated Japanese housing from the 70s being chased by a ghost. It also has stellar sound design and some really good emergent storytelling. I remember one point I was just doing my thing and I caught the monster lurching around in the distance. That was great. I also like that this one has customization for the monster. You know, give her a silly hat or a swirly glasses, that sort of thing. I don't much care for how aggressive she is and how dark the game is. As in physically dark. I literally can't see what's happening. But it does also give you essentially streamer mode options to turn those things off. So we are good to go. And I'm going to put you mid-A, I think. Yeah, it was a one and done, but sometimes that's what you need. It's a very good one and done. And the next up was ODT, as you can see. So FBI, don't you be watching me! Not everything has to be rap lyrics, Cass. I know, but it's more fun if it is. This was okay. And I came out of this one thinking of... This is a good example of how a game can be good, even though I don't like it. I can absolutely see where somebody would get really into this pseudo-open-world puzzle platformer game, but it is brutally difficult, and I wasn't into it. That said, I'm going to put you in C tier over here. Solid game. Didn't enjoy it. Speaking of, Fearmonium. That sounds ominous. It shouldn't be. Because I really, really enjoyed the... I enjoyed the gameplay side of Theomonium, and the story side, not so much. Like, this kid's being bullied and worse, and you just kind of encourage that until the game reveals that actually you were the good guy all along. But with that said, the story and gameplay exist in two separate rooms, essentially. And if we stay in the gameplay room, this is an absolute blast, especially when you get the dodge move, and you can chain together some really slick moves. So I'm going to put you in A tier, because you've got some flaws, but in spite of those, I really, really enjoyed it. Yeah. Tomb Raider's next, and I picked this one because after ODT played kind of like Tomb Raider, I figured I'd play actual Tomb Raider and see what it's like. And I'm actually really glad that I did, because it was incredibly frustrating at times, particularly when it was trying to be more action-y than platformy, but I enjoyed it more than I didn't, and then the bits where it is platformy were absolutely great. The 4 bonus levels, the first 2, don't like them so much. Run and gun your way out of the alien hive, no thank you. Go back to the pyramid, where there's not much in the way of monsters, but oh by crikey, there's a lot of traps. That was great. So I'm going to put you up here in A. And I'm really excited to get to Tomb Raider 2, 3, and potentially beyond. I know Josh is streaming Tomb Raider 2 lately, so that's fun to check out. Cluedo is Cluedo. I don't know what you want from me with this one. It's a straight conversion of the board game, but with a whole bunch of cool costumes and settings. It's not really got anything special going for it, despite being a fun little game, but, you know, it is a fun little game. So you're going to go right here. Right here in the middle. I'm sorry, Link and Dizzy. I'm going to break you guys up. Don't break me, I'm an egg. Anyway. Am I cracking wise? Cracking wise because I don't want to talk about December, where I played Disaster Report 4? Maybe. Because I think okay, so initially I was thinking Disaster Report 4 is basically fine, but it's very, very flat. Because it plays like Yakuza, but without Kiryu. Lots of ridiculous things happen, and then you go, huh, that was silly, and wander on to the next. You don't really react to it like Kiryu does. And I joked about how maybe the game wants me to make my own fun in this game, like doing the sound effects or adding my own soundtrack, and I did, and that was fun. But then, again, we're here again. The back third of the game is incredibly spiteful. Like, characters are bullied and killed and violently assaulted, and suddenly I'm not Sukeban Ichikawa, protagonist. I'm Cass, the dude, looking at this unfold, and I can't stop it, and I feel really sad and gross playing Disaster Report 4, and you're gonna go into D with special consideration as being one of the worst games that I have played this year. Possibly next to you. Anyway, Anton Blast, for one of the worst to one of the best, yeah? We had some hassle getting this game running because it wasn't very well optimized on Switch. But, but when we did get it running, it really took off. I really like the chaotic nature of the game and the fact that it's just Wario Land 4 but with a coat of paint. And I am going to put you up here in A tier, just based on the fun that I have had so far. We'll see where you go next year when you're finished, but a solid opening, particularly when out of nowhere the game just decides, do you know what? Screw it. Liminal Backrooms level. Go. What? Yes. That was great. Isle of Jura fishing trip is the next one, which is an interesting one because I only played it for about half an hour or so until it crashed, but I think I saw all of the content. And it feels kind of clunky and like it was made for children, so I don't know if I'm fully justified in marking it down for that. But even then, it is basically okay. So I'm going to put you up in a C tier, right there. Nothing too good, nothing too bad. Yeah, exactly, JJ. A for Anton. A for what a cool button. How are things going? Systematically, Tempest, we're just going over everything that I've played this year. We got 3 left, and then a bit of fine-tuning before I go to a New Year's party. How about yourself? Hope we're doing well. Meanwhile, Pokemon Colosseum, which I genuinely was not expecting this one to come back to life 2 years later, but I got the idea, a silly idea, to power level my team and Voltron together all 3 of my Gen 3 League defeating teams, so here we are. And last year I put it up in B tier, which I think is where it is going to go again this year. Because it has a unique look for the Pokemon world. I adore the grimy diesel punk aesthetic, and nothing else in Pokemon looks like this. But it's really weird for a Pokemon game. Very nice to see my old team in 3D though. Just Mickey, the best boy, sitting there with wind blowing his fur. Like, hell yeah. What a good dog. And then, was it last week? I played the Serena Expedition. Where is Breath of Fire 3? Breath of Fire 3 is over here, towards the back third of A tier. It was a little hard to think about that one objectively, because Breath of Fire 4 is one of my favorite RPGs, and it's this game, but way better. But it's still a good launching point, and I liked a lot of what it did. It just lost me at certain points. Which is also a pretty good way of talking about the Serena Expedition, because it was a lot of fun, but kind of limited. Which is kind of because it's a game jam game, rather than something whose dev time, went on a little bit longer. Kind of like the Desert of Death. I was really proud of myself for cheesing that, and oh goodness, if it hadn't worked and I had wasted 45 minutes of everyone's time, ugh. Like, at the very least with the Golden Plains in Breath of Fire 4, it's, what, 5-10 minutes tops if you get lost. And it very frequently just boots you back to the world map. Aw, man, that was bad. On that, actually, some of the stuff that Serena Expedition does, I don't fully understand the narrative. And it is a little cheap to make you play the entire game twice, especially when the second playthrough has constant... The characters are just going, boy, this is really stupid and annoying. Like, yeah, it is. Stop telling me that. But it's a good proof of concept, and it doesn't overstay its welcome, and I like what it does. So, we'll put you in C. We'll put you below the C. Yeah, you like that? That was a good one. And finally, the one that I played on Christmas Eve is Monopoly, specifically Speed Round Monopoly on the Xbox 360, which is the best version of Monopoly, and it's going to go up there in S like it always does. I kind of broke my own rule with this one about not including games that I have previously completed. So... Overwatch is a good one. I've streamed Overwatch this year. It's not on the list. I ranked it last time. Pretty sure there's one or two others that I've played when I have done so last year, but it's not on the list. Monopoly goes up there. Best version of Monopoly. Sincerely. Do I want to do any tinkering? Let's have a look. Sir, it is 6:20. It is far too early for fireworks. Get out of here with that mess. One might think it was New Year's or something. I'm gonna shuffle you down because I liked the premise of you, but I don't really want to come back to you. You can go over there because you're fun to look at mechanically. That's a big plus, I feel. These games would be in a lower tier if I weren't able to essentially poke around in the game's code and try to exploit the AI in various ways. But I can. So they're good. Ish. Let's take a look. Cursed Mountain, I feel like I could shuffle you down a little bit because I don't have any desire to come back to you despite really, really enjoying what it did. I don't think that counts against it as a game. Just... it was fine. It's gonna go back on the pile now, you know? Because Unpacking is a similar thing. I don't really want to play Unpacking again. I know how it goes. But I enjoyed what it did very, very much. You can go over there. You can go over there. You can go over there. I think we're done. There we go. That is my tier list for 2024. That's everything that I streamed and a couple of cool things that I did this year. And there you go. We'll be sharing that in the Discord. I will not be accepting questions. That's a lie. I will be happy to accept questions. Here's to more of this going forwards, because How about that? Zachary with the Prime subscription right at the very end. I appreciate that very much. Happy 2025 indeed. And the same goes to the rest of you guys. Like, I am genuinely really, really grateful for everything that you guys do. And hanging out and supporting me. And letting me just be a silly little penguin who talks on the internet. JJ, yes, I will. The next Anton stream is going to be Sunday afternoon because I'm working pretty consistently between now and the end of the week. But any Anton that I'm playing is grinding out past levels. So I can get the chips, so I can get spray cans. So yeah, if you come back, you will see me go to the next level, and the next, and the next, and the next, until we get everything done. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Zachary and Rextris, and everyone. You guys are great. I came into this looking at that like, man, I didn't play much this year. Compared to last year, there's like 20 games that I had on last year's tier list that's not on this one. But, no, that's a good tier list. I'm glad you guys are here for it. And I hope you keep supporting me for even more of this tomfoolery. Yeah. I'm just gonna fade that out. Yeah, exactly, Zachary. It's not how many games did I stream this year necessarily. It's I had a lot of fun streaming them, and even the bad or frustrating stuff, I had fun with it because it was you guys. And hey, JJ, no worries. Myself and the people in my chat, really, really welcoming. If there's anything you don't get, we'll be happy to do it. Not right now, because I'm going to shuffle over to this screen, listen to the most cheerful music in the world, and we are going to end my stream. And I'm going to go to a party. Zashilto, if you're watching, you better be watching. I want to be on the TV in the household right now. That's your cue to come get me. Or I can just send you a text. Probably that second one. Thank you for the stream. Thank you for the year. Thank you for watching, everybody. You guys are all great. I will see you on Sunday. And until then, until next year. Oh, I should have set that up. I can still do that. Until next year, goodbye.